All right, and time for the second episode of the week. This one, I get our Pat, the other Pat. He rejoins us. Jack is out with a broken laptop, so he's not going to be here. And we get to rant a little bit about last week, though you and I both got lucky that we did not have to suffer through watching the game. Well, I did the first half. You were out of the country, so you're excused on that, but also you were saved by that as well. So
I was keeping up with it though. I wasn't totally secluded. I did have internet, so I was like, oh, I was with family, but still, I was like, oh, I can keep up with it on the app, and I just kept looking at it, and then I was following your guys' conversations on Discord and stuff. So I wasn't completely, but I'm glad I did wasn't able to watch because I would have been sad.
yeah, the first half that I got to see, like I said, was absolutely ugly, and by the looks of it, the sounds of it, from what I've gathered, it didn't get any better in the second half. And obviously, with YouTube TV, I can DVR it. I did not decide to go back and rewatch. There just was no way in hell I was going to do that to myself.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, and then this week's game that has huge implications, not a whole lot of news, so we should be able to get through that real quick. Good news though is that Birmingham and Memphis, the 2024 season ticket deposits are already going. So anybody that listens that is in that area and is going to be next year and wants to get their season tickets, I was going to do that. Great sign. They're doing that 2024 for $24 is your deposit. So I'm really impatient about the Detroit one because, as you noticed, I did not say Detroit. I said Birmingham and Memphis. Detroit and Canton are missing from that.
Yep.
I did try to put my feelers out, see what I could find out about that. I did not get a whole lot of information other than it does sound like that it is coming, that we need to just show patience, but there shouldn't be any concern that we don't have the Detroit deposits ready to go. But
I know.
as it stands, yeah, those aren't available.
I'm sure this question has been asked, so I apologize. Is it 24 for previous season ticket holders, or is it just 24 in general?
From what I saw, like they just put it out there for anybody in general. I haven't gotten any email, obviously, for
For Ford.
Detroit. I
Yeah.
didn't see anything online saying that, season ticket holders from 2023 got the email first or anything like that. So don't really know. I assume it's just out there. I'm guessing though, if you had season tickets from this year, that you probably get priority, or at least you will. Like obviously these are deposits, so
Right. Right.
you don't get to choose your seats yet. So I'm assuming that once that
Right. And
rolls around, that
they
you'll
already,
actually get it.
yeah. Yeah, and they already have it built in where you can keep your seats, right?
Yeah, I imagine that'll
For
be one.
yeah.
Yeah, next year when it's time to, actually reserve your seats, I'm sure you'll get first dibs to do that. Um, I'm wondering though, because I think next year I might try to get a little closer to the field. So I'm not hoping that people don't renew their tickets, but I'm also hoping that people it's right there at midfield, few rows ahead are not going to renew so I can snipe those tickets because I'm hoping that I'll be able to do that because I really would want to be a little closer. I think we realized that sitting a few rows up was not quite as ideal as we thought it would be. Not that I'm complaining about sixth row, but you know,
Right.
first or second still would be better. So I'm gonna aim for that, but we'll see. I'm obviously we're still waiting to even put down the deposits, but I'm impatient. So I did not really appreciate the lack of clarification and response. But I mean, I get it. I don't, you know,
Yeah.
I'm
What
just
you
gonna
gonna
have to
do?
be patient. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I'm gonna have to go against my nature and actually be patient. So I mean, it is the USFL. I should be fairly used to that by now. So I just have to just suck it up.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm also too, because the I mean, to delve into my personal life a little bit, I'm getting married this year, so this fall and summer there have been busier than normal dealing with the kind of thing. But next season though, it'll be relatively relatively normal. So I'm probably gonna be looking to get season tickets too, because why not? I'm in the area and it'll be fun to do. And like I said, I'll be less busy and more inclined to be able to go to all the games. So.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so yeah,
Like I love it. Even when we suck, like I dealt with Michigan football for for how long, for
you're right.
a couple
Yeah,
decades,
yeah,
and paid even more. So
yeah,
it's worth
yeah.
it. It's still fun to a
Oh,
certain extent.
yeah. It's absolutely just a fun time in general, and like I've always been, you know, how long have the Tigers sucked too? I mean, obviously we've been decent in the last, in my lifetime, but just in general, it's just fun to go to live sports. It sucks if it sucks a little bit, but I'm much more of a live sports fan. So if I'm gonna go to a game, I'm always having fun regardless of what's happening. So especially to hang with you and whoever makes it out, like that season opener was so much fun. I loved it. So if we can keep matching that energy, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and like my situation too is changing a little bit this year, so hopefully next year it's gonna allow me to tailgate a little bit more. Because this year it's just been like, other than the opening game, like that was, like you said, it was absolute blast. So I want to do a lot more of that, but this year it was just having to, other than that week, just go park, get into the stadium, go to the game, because I didn't really want to spend a whole lot of money. Didn't, especially after the beginning of this year, didn't have a whole lot of disposable income to pay for dog sitting and stuff like that. So it's like next year, knock on wood, I'll have that opportunity, because by all means I should. But that's my intention. I hope that, because I really hope that we actually get to make like the brass rail, like how I had talked to the guys from the Warrior House at the before the season, or before the home game stretch. It was like, hey, brass rail can be our pregame spot. Other than the opening game at Ford Field, I didn't get to do it, so a little disappointed in that. But hopefully that can actually be a thing next year.
Yeah, and one thing I hope for, and I don't know if there's you might have more information. You probably have more information if there is any more about that. Is I hope for a little bit more scheduling consistency. Which I don't know how feasible that is at this point. Which it might not be, but which is fine. But part of the games, are some of the games are like more easier to get to. Like I can easily do, like if it's a early afternoon game or like a evening, like a 4 game. But sometimes if it's like for instance the Sunday, we talked about it. I I would normally be, if it was like a noon game or a 4 p.m. game, I would probably be 100% on going to the last home game on this coming Sunday. But the fact that it's 7 p.m. and I'm like, oh dang, I thought it was gonna be earlier, so it's like that might be a little bit. I mean, part of it too is I'm already going to 2 different events downtown, like on Friday and Saturday, so that has some factor in. But the fact that it's gonna be like another night event, it's like, ooh, that's a bit much. I don't know, but I'm hoping that'd be my ultimate hope for going forward, is to get a little bit more consistency, because I guess it's been kind of all over the board. Which
Yeah,
I know that's just kind of the nature of the beast, because you were playing on Saturdays and Sundays, but at least time wise, I'd hope that they could kind of level it out a little bit.
yeah, it's a little annoying that for our home games they were like the 7:30 and then the 7 p.m. kickoff again this week. So not ideal, especially on a Sunday.
Yeah,
I I end up having to take Monday off, which I got approved, because I'm like, I don't want to get back at midnight and then go
yeah,
to work the next day, especially if we lose and then the season's over, and especially if it's ugly like the other 4 home games had been. I'm not gonna come home and just go to bed. I'm going to like probably have to knock a couple back and just sulk,
yeah,
because honestly, this year I've definitely felt myself so much more invested in this team and the league. So it's just like
Oh, for sure.
it's gonna
100.
hurt. It is going
Yeah.
to hurt.
Yeah, 100%.
It's
I'm
gonna
I'm with you on that one too. Like to be able to go, go see the, go see the games and get invested, and I'm 100% with you. Like, cause like I said, even though I couldn't watch, when I was in Aruba, I was still keeping up with it. Normally, like last year, that would have been not a thing in my head.
right.
So, but the fact now I have like something tangible, and so I definitely get that on that. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, which again, I think all proves the point that the league, and I know they know this, but like they really need to get into the markets because yeah, it's so hard to feel connected. Like last year, I was invested, but at the same time, like you said, like you experienced and I've experienced actually being in the market, especially if you were available to go to a game. Yeah, no, it's such a different attachment level that it's insane. Even though you've only gone to two of the home games, so you've actually only seen two of the games
Yeah,
live. Like, yeah, your investment level is so much more. So hopefully they do that. Like I said, I know that they want to, they plan to, but
yeah,
uh, we'll see. But they really need to. If they, you know, I gotta at least get to Philly, and we'll see about Pittsburgh or what they do. But hopefully we get to see that, and like I said, get better kickoff games. And I really am hoping for no 4 game stretches next year because especially when they lose, it's brutal. So
yeah, yeah. That's a little rough. But yeah, part of that seems kind of not unavoidable, but it's I think it's still a little bit. It'll probably be still a little bit more common than we want, unfortunately. But yeah, who knows? It's I guess my hope and my takeaway is hopefully, you know, this season it seemed like people were more and more involved and invested because of the different hubs, the expansion into the hubs. So hopefully that translates into better time slots with TV because that's Fox's whole you know uh, design with the USFL is ratings first and then getting into market. So hopefully the increase in ratings and increase in involvement, hopefully that'll lead to better time slots.
yeah, ratings have been pretty decent this year. Seem fairly comparable to last year. A little lower, but I think that has a lot to do with one, we haven't had the playoffs or the championship game numbers to, to bump up the averages, and then, there's been some other events, but will be interesting to see how that goes. But if you are looking to go to the game this Sunday, you can't get our giveaway because that already went through. I posted that. I swear the social media networks there, the sites are really probably suppressing these giveaways because I got a couple responses on Twitter, nothing on Instagram, and it's like, all right, whatever. I'm gonna have to figure out a different way, a better way of doing these. Maybe as the podcast gets a little more viewership routine, then maybe we'll start just doing it on the podcast then because yeah,
Yeah,
social media is
yeah,
starting to suppress those, and it's really kind of annoying.
yeah. I mean, Twitter. I mean, that's a whole different conversation, but yeah, Twitter's not the most reliable right now. So
But again, if you are looking to go to the game, looks like there's a couple different deals that they're going. It is obviously Father's Day, so they have a 2 for $14 thing going, so you can get
oh, nice.
2 tickets for 14. Yeah, and then there's a $15 ticket offer, which includes a ticket, an autographed photo of the New Day. I'm going to admit ignorance, and I have no clue who that is. I'm assuming wrestler since it's WWE themed night, superstar WWE superstars on Sunday night. So I'm assuming he's a wrestler. And then
Yeah,
there's also
yeah. I have no idea either. So I'm gonna assume you're right on that one.
so I'll leave it at that. Yeah, sounds like so you get an autograph photo of him of the New Day, and then there is also a limited edition Panthers slash WWE T-shirt that you get. So those 3 things
Oh,
for
that's cool.
$15. Yeah, so if you actually are really into WWE, or your father or brother who's a father, whatever, Father's Day, bring them out. You know,
Yeah.
pretty
Make it
pretty good deals.
yeah, that sounds like a good event. That'd be fun.
And then I think really that's it. Like I said, there's not been a whole lot of thing to talk about. No Panthers won any of the Player Award of the Week awards, which kind of feel like Ginda got ripped off a little bit on that. I mean, Tazino also just played massively well against us. I mean, he had quite a, you know, quite a few plays. He got a couple of interceptions off of Love, so he got the nod for our game. But I really think Ginda um, should have at least been one of the four guys that you could vote on. But because dude went off, but I'll get to that in a second. So like we alluded to, you and I didn't really get to actually watch the full game. You kept up with it. I did not for the second half because I was at a family event and I just kept my phone off, didn't check it. That would have just been, I don't think the theater would have appreciated that. And
Probably
then,
not.
so I was way, way off on my prediction last week. I actually thought that because it was a do or die for Pitt, that they were just going to go off and that our defense was going to maybe not do quite as well, but I thought our offense would have been able to match. That did not happen. The under absolutely hit because we only had a combined score of 26 points. So Pitt, of course, won by 12, another double digit loss for us, 19-7. Love went 19 for 33 with one touchdown and four interceptions. So that wasn't great with the rating of 50. So certainly not his best outing this week or this past
Yeah.
week. Not at all.
Yeah, every time I kept seeing it, I was like, seriously? Come on.
Yeah, and then our special teams was not doing their jobs entirely with the head. Of course, that blocked punt, which really did not help us at all in the first half. And then the first kickoff, they returned it all the way to our 29. So special teams was also not fantastic. Neither offense or special teams earned my favor this past week by any means. I've done my best to not lament too much about it, but instead I've heaped tons and tons and tons of praise onto our defense because hell, they deserve it. Like
Yeah.
they held them to 19 points. And again, they allowed one touchdown, and that was because the Maulers managed to get it down to our 29 at very first, off the first kickoff to start the game. And the fact that, you know, it was pretty good defense they played on it. So I even then I'm not as mad about that touchdown given up. But besides that,
Right.
4 field goals, which if you look at, and I'll mention, the starting positions for the Maulers, the fact that they just held them to 4 field goals after that initial touchdown is fantastic. I mean, they dominated the time of possession. They had the ball for 37 minutes
Yeah.
to our 23, and they only got 19 points out of it. Again, 4 field goals after that initial touchdown. So our defense ground them to a halt. Granted, Mahler's offense, not exactly a juggernaut. I get that. I don't expect that to be, like, oh, this is the greatest defensive performance that we've ever had.
Right.
But
Right.
I mean, they did our job. Again, Mahler's had the ball for 37 minutes and they still ground them to halt. I mean, the Maulers had the ball to start their drives 3 times in our territory, once at midfield, 6 times at their 30 or better. It's like, and out of their 13 drives, like like the fact that we defended, that we did so well in that, is that I'm going to continue to just heap praise on the defense because they balled out. The only time that the Maulers ever had the ball to start their drive inside their own 20 was when they got to do victory formation after a failed fourth down attempt at the end of the game. So like that's the only drive that they got to start inside the 20 and just for one play victory formation. So like
I'm with you on
ridiculous.
that one. Like like I said, like we talked about, I wasn't able to actually watch it, but I was keeping up with it. And uh, on paper, yeah, that sucks that they got so many field goals, but in reality, that's awesome about the defense. Like the fact that you said that they were able to they were just keep balling out on that. Because I'm me, I've been a Bears fan, so like I've always been like if it's a good defense, I'm all for it. And so that was like, oh, I'm very happy right now, even though it sucks that they're losing.
Right.
The defense was just awesome.
Oh, yeah. For the first half, when I got to watch the game, I was just absolutely elated by how dominant we were being. Granted, they got to be just as dominant on their side, and they deserve all
Right.
the praise there. But we had 6 sacks, 11 tackles for loss. I mean, we didn't get any turnovers. That would have been nice. I think that might have been a boost, but at the same time, our offense wasn't doing anything with it, so I don't know what lot of good that would have done. Still, fantastic output. 13 or Ginda again, like I said, I think he got robbed of at least being a nominee. 13 tackles, a half sack. Like dude was all over the place. Again, he has now taken the lead in overall tackles, total tackles on the year. He actually leapfrogged to Zeno, who is plays for the Maulers. He had a good game too. Obviously, he came close to winning Defensive Player of the Week. And then Ginda also has, tied for first and with 3 interceptions in the league. So like, dude just continues to be a baller. So
Yeah.
kind of wish that he had gotten a little more recognition, but of course, Pittsburgh winning by 12 and their defense having 5 sacks, 7 tackles for loss, 4 interceptions, and 8 passes defended. Like that was dominant. Like I get that. I can't say that our performance was any better, but at the
Oh,
same
right.
time, those 4 interceptions that Love had, I like those were the plays that I watched like in the second half, and oh, those were just bad. Like all 4 of his interceptions were entirely on him. He missed his receivers or just threw it right to the defenders or right into their arms to like on the tipped ball the one that Tizino got. Like it's you can't do much. Like they honestly the Maulers didn't have to try that hard, and I don't want to like again take away from how great their defense was, but at the same time, like I can't give them all the credit because our offense did a lot of their work for them. And
Right. Right.
I'm over it, dude. Like I have some hope for us this week, and we get into that when we preview the game. But at the same time, I don't know. I I don't have a whole lot to say about my observations other than kind of what we've been saying. Love needs to be playing better. Our offensive line still needs to be playing better. Whatever I've said before, I think I can't add anything to it. It's just the same old. I don't know what's
Yeah.
going on. The play calling, it seemed like it was better against the Generals and the Breakers, but then all of a sudden, this game, I, like I get it. Maulers' defense is good. Again, I'm going to keep admitting that, but something's got to break. They're not that good for their 3-6 for a reason as well. Like
Right.
uh, something just needs to give about this offense, and I'm hoping the fire is being lit under their ass this week because it is literally do or die. They have no recourse. They have no other options but either to go home or they can continue on. Yeah, I don't know. Do you have any other observations? Again, I know you didn't get to see it. Did you watch any of the highlights? Did you get to see anything that makes
Yeah.
you think anything or?
Yeah. Over the week, and because I work from home, so I've been able to kind of watch some highlights over the week, and I mean, yeah, I know it sounds boring, but I definitely disagree with you. Something has to freaking give, and that's the most annoying part though. About this whole season really is because it seemed like at first we could kind of pinpoint one thing or one or two things, but now it's just like I just don't know what needs to happen because it seems like they're kind of trying. I mean, obviously, Jordan Love is kind of a
Josh Love.
linchpin. What's that?
Josh Love.
Oh, sorry, Josh Love. Yeah, yeah. Josh Love is definitely like a focal point. Whether whether pin on him or not, will we do better with someone else? Who knows? But I guess it doesn't matter because we haven't been able to know because they haven't benched him, right? So,
Yeah, and I don't think we can really expect any different this week.
yeah,
Maybe Lewerke is finally knows enough about the offense with being with the team for a week that maybe or a month. Maybe now we have some packages that he can play if for whatever reason.
yeah,
Obviously, but I think, like you said, I think we're probably going to see and stick with Love this week as well. So,
yeah. It's like like you said, something has to give, and that's the most annoying point. Is like there's no real clear answer, to be honest.
yeah.
So
Like I said, I wish I had something else. I've tried to find at least a little bit something else to add to suggest or that have a takeaway from a game, but part of it not seeing the entire game, part of it just seeing the same old. Yeah.
yeah, I guess all we
I'm
could.
also
Oh, God.
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say is like hopefully all we can say is like basically hopefully the defense will keep balling out and that'll allow time for the offense to kind of click and figure their shit out.
Yeah. Plus, I am getting tired of being negative. Like, I get it. That's kind of what we've been given as far as offense is concerned. But through that all, I know like even earlier I mentioned like how I don't want to have a drive home in a loss, and that's why I took Monday. But also at the same time, I took Monday off because if we do win, if we are going to the playoffs, then I'm going to. It won't be quite as elated as a Michigan Wolverines win over that team down south, but it's still going to be a huge thing, especially since the way that last year ended. So
Yeah,
I
man.
I still do have some hope. I still do have hope. And then, but before we talk about kind of our thoughts on this week's game, couple roster moves, nothing too dramatic. We did sign a new edge rusher. We got Tyree Johnson out of Texas A&M. He was a 2022 draft class. He went undrafted. Did end up signing, I think, with the Steelers last year, but I think he ended up getting released in like August. So he wasn't with the team into the regular season, but he was all SEC, second team All SEC for 2021. So the dude definitely, bring some stuff to the team. We ended up releasing defensive end Trey Williams because we didn't have any open roster spots. So sucks to see Williams go. I did like Trey. He was one that seemed like he was in a fairly regular rotation. Last week
Yeah,
he was placed in the practice squad, and then of course, obviously, this week he was released. So sucks to see him go. He had been with the team for a minute, so don't enjoy seeing that. But excited to see Johnson. Though I'm assuming for the most part here, we're probably just signing him for next year because I don't because if we lose this week, then he's then we're done, and then I'll be shocked if he ends up getting bumped to the active roster for this week. Obviously, just coming in fresh this week, and with the way that our edges are playing in Levi and Breland, I don't see Tyree Johnson needing to be added to the active roster. So my guess is that, like I said, that's probably going to be for next year.
yeah. I agree 100% with that.
Which I mean, I'm not gonna complain. It'll be nice to see have some continued depth because, in part, I think we are going to for sure lose Breland after this season to the NFL. So getting his replacements all ready to go is probably not the worst idea.
Yeah, yeah. Looking forward is never a bad thing.
No. Which again is really going to be interesting to see how we play in the offseason. But I'm hoping the offseason for the Panthers is delayed a little bit. Hopefully, we have 3 more games, including this weekend's game. But that obviously is to be seen one game at a time.
Yep. Hope all we can do is hope and be optimistic.
Yes. So, what are your thoughts on this weekend's game? Obviously, again, another late kickoff, 7 p.m. On Sunday. It will be our final game broadcasted over the air. So, hopefully, we end up getting some good viewership, which we still have been. So, 7 p.m. Obviously, tons and tons, or not tons, but playoff implications. Win, we're in. Lose, the season's over. Um, yeah, what are your thoughts? What did you see much of the New Jersey and Pittsburgh game last week, or not Pittsburgh, but Philly game last week?
Really, not really. 'Cause, like, so I was out of town. I did keep up with it though. I haven't really watched any highlights. So I probably should going into the game. So I think the game is definitely winnable. I'm not saying that as an insult to Philly. I think, but it's if for whatever reason, we talked about it a little bit before the podcast. The Maulers for some reason just kind of have our number, and we've always just been so like mismatched with them. But like, I think with the Stars, it should be a little better. And granted, and it's especially too like if our defense continues to ball out, then that definitely helps things. So I'm not gonna say ultimately we don't have the track record for me to have like 100% confidence, but I'm I'm feeling okay about it. I don't think it'll be it shouldn't be as hard as it should be, or as hard as the Maulers, I guess, really.
Yeah, you should definitely watch a replay of that game, New Jersey and
Hmm.
Philly last week. It was insane. Probably one of the best games all
Yeah,
year for
that's
the
what I've been.
USFL.
That's what I've heard. So I was like, all right, I should probably,
Yeah, for a minute there, I thought I was going to have to curse New Jersey, but they ended up pulling it out. It was not, yeah, definitely not what I was expecting to say at the end of the game once the fourth quarter started, and New Jersey had a 21-point lead, and then
right.
end up having to squeak out that win. So
Yeah.
really, really good game. I definitely think you should watch that. But yeah, no, I agree. I think we definitely have a shot. Again, we beat Philly at the beginning of the year in season or in week 2, and I
Yep.
don't think that the teams are in a drastically different place to where I don't think that we could see a lot of the same. Obviously,
Right.
we're not going to have the weather issues as we did in week 2. We were in Canton, nasty weather. Going to
Yeah.
be in a dome. If we have, to deal with that weather in the dome, there's going to be bigger issues than the game at hand because,
The game's not
yeah,
gonna happen.
yeah, no, because it is not an open air stadium. So yeah,
The dome is not retractable, so if
no.
if weather's getting in, then there's a problem.
Yeah, so we shouldn't have weather issues, which will be interesting. I think will make things a little harder for our defense, but not really. If our offensive line is subpar, theirs certainly is. They cannot get their run game going. They don't have much of an O line. If you watch the replay of last week's game, you'll see that Cookus end up getting beaten up quite a bit.
Yeah,
So
I saw the memes flying after the game so I yeah I I agree. It'll be it'll be interesting. Like I said, I don't want to bemoan you know I don't want to bemoan them, but I think it's a very winnable game.
oh yeah, like I said, it with Cookus probably not being 100%, and the fact that we kind of did the same thing to him in week 2, I
Yeah.
think we can do the same this week. we're going to absolutely need to in front of the crowd. So our defense is going to eat again. I think having now Levi Bell on the opposite side of Breland Speaks is actually going to make our D line even better. Obviously, we've seen Frank Ginda just absolutely ball out the entire year. I don't think this week is going to be any different. So, I mean, yeah, I just think that we have a real good shot here. It's going to, of course, come down to our offense. We don't have the Maulers defense that we're playing against this week. The stars are just not there. I'm not terribly worried about their front seven. Rodriguez is good. He is currently the all-time sack leader for the new USFL at 15. So, I mean, dude can ball, obviously. So as long as we can, make sure that he's, contained, then I think that our offense should have a little bit of time. Again, give Love a little bit more time to think and not have to react as quick like last week. Then I think he should be able to make some better decisions. He's certainly going to have to make better decisions. Whether he will or not, to be seen. I mean, we know that he's very much capable. He played pretty decent in the second half against the Breakers. He obviously did what he needed to do against the Generals, and he bowled out in weeks 1 and 2. Like, there's just, he's got the potential. I'm not quite as down on him as I've seen others be on, but I'm certainly not going to be like, I have ultimate faith in him, because I've seen enough. We've seen enough that I don't. But the potential's there. He certainly can. And if we expect to punch our ticket to the playoffs, we're certainly going to need him to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we're getting to the point. It's like, all right, we need players to start popping off, please.
Yeah, I mean, our defense, I'm not too worried about.
Yeah.
That is going to be the equalizer. If we can get and control the time of possession, it's not going to guarantee us a win, because we've had games where we've won the time of possession battle, and still have lost. So I'm not going to be like, oh, we win the
Oh
TOP,
yeah.
we win the game, and I'm not even going to say, oh, if we get turnovers, so we're going to win the game, because we've had games where
Yep.
we've won the turnover battle and still have come out on the losing end. So yeah, it's really going to depend on how clean of a game our offense has too. Like last week, the previous 3 weeks, we had one turnover in those 3 weeks, and that one turnover was that Hail Mary attempt at the end of the Breakers game that was last ditch. So like, yeah, it was a turnover, it was an interception, but I'm not really going to fault him too much, because it was, probably not a decision he would have made if he didn't have to make it, because obviously you had to get the
Right.
ball out, you had to try. So one turnover in those 3 games, and then just turns around and throws 4 picks last week. Is just, that cannot happen this week. I hope that he just got out of his system, and he knows that, and he should know, and obviously they do know, that this is do or die. This is win and in. This is the game that if he's going to ball out, he needs to ball out. Hopefully Corbin's back. We obviously, it's a Sunday night game, and we're recording on Thursday, so we aren't going to get the injury status report. We're not going to get the active inactive roster today. We'll get that tomorrow.
Yep.
So I'm hoping we see Reggie come back. He wasn't listed as out last week. I think he was doubtful. So, I'm hoping, it looks like there was some footage this week of him practicing on social media. So I'm trying to be optimistic, and hopefully that he gets to play, because like in week 2, and like he did last year at the beginning of the year, if he can play, if he gets the ball in his hands and the team lets him do his thing, I think he can gash the Stars' run defense. Again, they are not the Maulers' defense. They certainly are going to give up yards, and I think Reggie can, again, not to be cliche with it, but he can make him pay. He can kill him. He can do what he
Yeah.
has done before. I see no reason why it can't be done again. I mean, I know the Stars are going to game plan for that, obviously, and
Right.
if they
Right.
do, maybe that gives Josh Love a little bit more space. He doesn't have to worry about as much man coverage. He doesn't have to worry about, looking off defenders if they're staying home to count for the run, and then maybe that'll make the game a little nicer for Josh and help us, carve their defense because I think they're still without Stribling if I'm correct. So that doesn't help. Dennis is balling out as well this year, and so is Brown. But without Stribling, I think their secondary is a little weaker, and I think that definitely plays well for us. But again, Love's gonna have to play better. He's gonna have to play up to the level that he knows he can play. Otherwise, their secondary is not gonna have to do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. It's just gonna be, yeah, it's gonna be a very interesting game for pretty much all the reasons we outlined. I guess I don't really have much to add. I thought I did, and I was like, no, we kind of pretty much covered it all, to be honest.
Yeah, got to make cook us uncomfortable. I think that's the big thing. I don't think he's going to be able to take off and do any of the same runs that he did against New Jersey and extend some of those drives that he did. I think our front seven's a little faster. I don't think we're going to be blown off the ball any like New Jersey was, even to that little extent.
Yeah.
And we're going to be able to hammer cook us a little bit more. And again, if he's not 100%, if we can kind of, aggravate any injuries that he has. Not that I want to have to win because we injured their quarterback, but
Yeah.
anything that we can get him off schedule, anything we can do to make him second guess that he doesn't want to stand in the pocket and get hit. If he doesn't want to get, rushed and hurried, then I hope if we make him uncomfortable, then it's very much possible that we can come away with this. Coleman is going to, of course, be a huge factor. We'll see if they do similar with him that they did last week and kind of get him to do some different routes, try to get him open. It will be interesting to see if we have Butler or Taylor on him primarily on Sunday. Taylor still hasn't given up a touchdown yet all year, so
Yeah.
I'd like to see Taylor. I'd like to see number one on number one and see
Right.
how that goes. But yeah, basically, stop Cookus. I'm not afraid of the Stars run game. I think it's Colburn still, but they didn't exactly run it much last week that I don't even know who their feature back is right now.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, but I definitely hope definitely hope that we can rattle cookies like we've been talking about, and just like, oh, okay, well, yeah, if we can do that, and then we can give some breathing room for the offense, and so they can kind of click, I think we can have a pretty decent chance of coming out of this ahead.
Yeah, and unlike last week where I had a whole diatribe and had to go over all of the 16 insane, crazy scenarios for the playoffs last week, we super simplify it this week. Winning in. There is not going to be a chance for a Detroit versus Detroit playoff matchup. There's not going to be a chance for a Canton versus Canton. It will be Detroit versus Canton. Depends on who wins. Just the winners go to the playoffs. Panthers, because we lost last week, do not have a chance to win the division. It will either be Philly or New Jersey or Pittsburgh.
Right.
So, either of those teams win. If Philly wins, they get it, no doubt. They'll be at 5 wins, which no other team's going to be able to get to 5 wins on. If we win, then like I said, we are automatically going to be the second seed, and then Pittsburgh or New Jersey is going to be the number 1 seed because it'll be 3 teams at 4 and 6, and New Jersey will have won the first tiebreaker over the Stars by beating. Well, no, they'll win the second tiebreaker over the Stars because they'll have a 4-2 division record versus the Stars is 2-4. Because I do believe the Stars beat them earlier this year. Yeah, and then New Jersey beat them this time, so they would have split their series, and then New Jersey would still win on the second tiebreaker, and then of course they would also beat the Panthers on the second tiebreaker. Again, same reason, 4-2. Their 4-2 division record versus our 3-3 if we beat the Stars this week. So we'll be second there. And similar with Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh would beat Philly outright. They would be second tiebreaker again. Same 4-2 versus the 2-4 division record. They would beat the Panthers outright with the two games head to head, so they wouldn't need to worry about the division record. Which, I mean, even if they did, be the same thing. 4-2 versus 3-3. So regardless of which tiebreaker, Pittsburgh beats us, and then of course, so we would end up having the tiebreaker over Philly because we would have beaten them head to head both times. So effectively eliminating Philly. So that's how those matchups end up. So yeah, and then it's winning in. It's player go home. Simple as that. Unfortunately, I wish we could end up winning the the division, but that would have required us actually having an offensive scheme last week that was effective, which sadly did not happen. So
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Unfortunately, unfortunately, but still, other teams, in other leagues are always facing that. Say, oh, this is it. You got to win or go home. So hopefully we
which is
can.
yeah, which would be interesting because there's a couple of scenarios from last year to this year that are wild. Like, so if Pittsburgh wins on Saturday and we win on Sunday, Pittsburgh goes from the worst team in the league last year to winning the North this year, which would just be crazy. And then if the Panthers lose on Sunday, they are getting the number one overall pick again because we'll be the worst in standings. Because again, same reason, like we would end up losing to New Jersey or Pittsburgh, whoever loses the game on Saturday, we would still be fourth in the North, and everybody in the South has at least 5 wins. So we would get the number one draft pick, or we go to the playoffs, which is just weird as hell. This North
Yeah,
division has been super strange this year. Um, Glad that we still get the chance to go, but so strange.
yeah. I mean, that's kind of things with these spring leagues. Is a lot of weird outlier things can happen. So I'm I'm not gonna complain about it. It makes it a little fun, uh, but yeah. So I was like, just
Uh,
gotta play to win.
Yeah, I mean, they tweeted earlier that they've had good intensity in practice today, so I damn sure hope so because we need that all we can get. So this is actually going to be one of our shorter episodes because there's really not a whole lot to talk about. Like I said, I'm
Yeah,
over complaining and complaining and complaining. Been doing that the last few weeks, so I'm glad I don't get to have to do that today, or I'm not going to. But before we end it, who do you want to end up playing in the playoffs? Assume we win on Sunday. Assume that's a lock. Obviously, it's irrelevant if we lose, but assume we win on Sunday. Who are you rooting for on Saturday? Who do you want to win? Who do you want to face if Panthers win?
Uh, sorry if this is a stupid question. Are the showboats still kind of in it?
Oh, well, I mean, it's North versus North anyway, but
Oh,
as far as that concerned, I mean, the Showboats are still technically in it, but they have to
oh right,
win and then also like outgain the Breakers by like 63 points this weekend.
yeah.
So
I guess
effectively not, but yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. So I guess further north, yeah, because then we'd have to play to get into it. Yeah, I guess probably the Generals. I would. I think we can handle them again.
Yeah, so we match up a lot better with them
Yeah,
again. Like you
yeah,
and I have been saying this entire episode, we match up horribly against the Maulers. So
Yeah,
I was hoping you were going to say the Generals because
yeah, yeah,
they're the
yeah.
nicer matchup.
Yeah, Mahler's is pretty much the only one where it's like I don't know what the hell happens, but which is every football across any league, there's always that one fucking matchup that excuse my language, but a freaking matchup where no matter how good or how bad each team is doing, and sometimes it just when they play, just here's a shit show of a game. Who cares? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Mahler's seem to be and we'll see going forward. Obviously it's only 2 seasons, so whatever, but yeah, I think generals, I think the generals would be a good time, and a decent chance to win and a good game. So I'd definitely hope for if we win today, if we win on Sunday, I'd love to see it, generals for the semis.
Yep, agreed. And for the Generals, because apparently according to Angelo of USFL today, I am good luck when I change the Twitter name to Generals Shadow. So I will be General Shadow on Saturday for good luck for the Generals for his BF, and then he's going to be Panthersly speaking on the behalf of the Panthers on Sunday. So that is our pact. We are going to try to will each other's teams to victory. And yeah, hopefully that's the dream matchup that we see. Because like I said, I think that's if the Panthers can pull off a win on Sunday, I do think the Generals are our best bet. It would be nice to reclaim the streak with the Maulers, but I'm going to be real. Like I said, they're kind of a matchup nightmare this year. So I'm going for the Generals all the way, and that's who I'll be rooting for. Again, I'm going to be Generals Shadow on Saturday, and I'm not going to be ashamed of it.
Awesome.
Yeah, so this week is a little short. We're going to end on a little less than an hour, which is definitely the shortest in a minute, but like I say, is Phil Ford Field this weekend. If you can, you get to Ford Field. Obviously, the tickets are pretty cheap. You have those deals, so make sure you come and go and join us. Does sound like it's going to be a pretty decent crowd. So, yeah, let's fill Ford Field. Be loud. Hopefully, we get to punch a ticket into the playoffs. And then next week, it's not going to be a season recap episode. It will be a playoffs preview episode, and then I
Absolutely.
should be in Canton. So hopefully that's how this plays out. I'm excited. Love the fact that we're actually in this conversation, whereas last year we weren't. It was
Right.
the end of the season. There was no chance for playoffs. This is very much in the thick of it. So yeah, it's kind of uncharted territory for us, but I'm excited, and I think we'll leave it at that. Hope everybody is going to be cheering on the Panthers on Sunday. If not in
Absolutely.
Ford Field, at least in their homes or bars.
Absolutely. Let's
All right.
go.
So, real quick, obviously follow us on Twitter and Instagram, all the social medias at USFL Shadow. If you want to follow my personal football Twitter, it's at Cheese Soda. And make sure you follow Jack at Panthers Claw MI. And Pat is not going to let anybody know his Twitter account. He's going to be all secretive on that. So can't follow him yet. Maybe we'll bug him and badger him into next year having his
I just
own
don't
Twitter
have
for
I just don't have one. That's really it. It's not secretive. I just don't have one.
I mean, we might
But
have to
yeah,
change that
I mean I can if need be.
next year. Next year we'll
Yeah,
worry about that. Or when it comes to playoffs, we'll have to. They win
yeah.
on Sunday. You have to make a Twitter.
All right, there we go. Panthers,
There we go.
if you win, I'm gonna make a Twitter and it'll be dedicated to you. Please.
All right, there we go. Got that. Just like I said, I tweeted earlier this week. If the Panthers win, I will go to Canton, and I really, really, really do not want to travel to Ohio. So I will make that sacrifice if they get the dub this weekend.
Yeah.
That's
So
it. Like I will
there we
make
go.
that sacrifice if they make that sacrifice for me.
There we go. Perfect.
All right, we will see you guys next week.
Have a good one.